Thank you so much for joining us here on KEXP, where the music matters. I'm Cheryl Waters. I'm so excited to be down here in the KEXP studios with a very old friend here with a band we love. It's Fruit Bats. Welcome.
Yeah.
So wonderful to have you here.
Great to be back.
I'm so excited about the new record, A River Running to Your Heart. I'd love to talk to you about it, but will you play some songs with us first?
Sure.
It's Fruit Bats live on KEXP.
Bet you coming my way before I knew who you were. Like the fog in my thoughts in a beautiful blur. There was a ripple in the air before you walked into the room. Made me know that you've been good since you came out of the womb. Could I be your North Star? Or maybe you're ever running to your heart. My love is where the flood can wash away. One time I heard you cried in the middle of the night, 'cause you saw yourself in a dream and it was you but not quite. And there was something in the room and it was hovering above. Oh, maybe the ghost who used to haunt the house where you grew up. Let yourself cry and let the white river rush from your green eyes. My love is what the tide can wash away, can wash away. Yeah, I knew that you were there before I knew you were alive. Well, I could tell by the light in the sky before you walked up the drive. There was a ripple in the air before you walked into the room. Made me know that you've been good since you came out of the womb. Let yourself sigh, because this has been such a long, hard time. Shake off the shivering. You're a shark that never stops swimming. I feel that dim North Star. I'm a river running to your heart. I'm a river running to your heart. I'm a river running to your heart. I'm a river running.
We're live in the KEXP studios with Fruit Bats, A River Running to Your Heart, the brand new album, and that was kind of the title track.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. The
Rushin
very
River.
within. Should we do another?
I'd love that.
All right.
Well, we all some place to make us feel whole. And the words to this song, while geographically specific, they could apply to anywhere or to any of you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Waking up alive again, but trying to stop the bleeding. That's how it is. But at least says to the sky above, and you still love the feeling of waking up in Los Angeles. Waking up in Los Angeles. La 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 la. And you're waking up still dreaming, and you're trying to hold on to that feeling. And oh my God, hold on. But at least you got a reason for, and you still got the feeling for. But how the days roll on, waking up and you know it, it's got some kind of glow to it when the lights just bright. And at least you got a real love, a love for the idea of waking up in Los Angeles. Waking up in Los Angeles.
We're gonna do one from Gold Past Life because I don't think we did a full band thing on that one.
Now that you've gotten to the autumn of your years and you do your best, yeah, and you found a turkey feather and you hung it like an amulet. You're so happy that you got to the bottom of the fears that were fettering you, and you found a round stone and you're wearing it around like a Jew. Doors squeaking loud, swinging wide open. Found yourself, man, and that's some good. where the wheat swayed in the wind, and you found a dead deer and you made it into moccasin. Overjoyed that you've gotten to the flat spot in the fields, and it's starting to feel that it's hearkening to something I love. Doors creak loud, swinging wide open. Found yourself, man, and that's something. Oh, where the doors creak loud, swinging wide open. Found yourself, man, and that's something. So happy that you got to the bottom of it. Fears that were bettering you, and you found the round stone, and you're wearing it around like a jewel.
Oh, that sounds so great. You're listening to Fruit Bats live here in the KEXP studios. Gold Past Life is the album that song, the bottom of it, came from. That came out in 2019. And the newest album, A River Running to Your Heart, just out this past April on Merge Records. Such a gorgeous release. And Eric has just moved over to the beautiful grand piano for this final song today.
Throat clear. Quick throat clear.
You remember this place? We used to call this our home. We were the perfect age, and the rent was so low. All that we had then was our love, making it up as we went along. We used to live here. We used to live here. Remember our backyard, dewy and overgrown, looking up at the stars and the vines hanging low. All that we had then was you and me, living on love and making believe. We used to live here. We used to live here.
That one tugs on the heartstrings. We used to live here from A River Running to Your Heart, the latest album from Fruit Bats, and we are so very happy to have you all here in studio today. Thank you so much for bringing this beautiful band.
Yeah, thanks for having us back.
It's always such a pleasure. You have one of my favorite voices in music, and I want to say it just gets more beautiful with each day, but I loved it just as much on day one. And I think of all the musicians who have been singing for so long and can't hit those notes anymore, and your voice is just so strong and so powerful and always just makes waves of emotion come over me. So thank you for continuing to do this for all these years.
Thanks for saying that. I hope it holds up. Yeah,
I
it's
hope
only a
it
matter
does
of
too.
time, but yeah.
Well, the name of your new record, A River Running to Your Heart, just is so beautiful. It has such a rejuvenating, sweet sensibility. And I know this is also a lyric within the first song that you sang today. How did you decide that this was going to be the name of the record? I mean, it definitely conjures up some emotion.
The last few of my records, there's always been a title track, and usually there's one that kind of sticks out, and there wasn't with this one, or there's some kind of like lyrical pull. But it actually took me a really long time to figure this one, and then I was like, oh, it's once I sequenced it, and that kind of became, it's not the first song, it's the second song, but the first song is sort of this instrumental. But it became very clear to me that that was going to be the name. It's a bit of a mouthful, but yeah, I think people are remembering it.
It's so beautiful, as is this bright collection of really kind of your fondest memories of locations, friends, and family, and you've sewn it together in this beautiful, nostalgic moments, kind of like a map that you've created. And you described this album with a term that you've coined emotional geography. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of like the sense memory of a place, you know, that we have that. And it could be like a smell or a sight or something like that. But it's, yeah. And also it's just an oblique term that I think sounds cool that people can apply their own meaning to.
You produced this album yourself, and the press is making a big deal about it being the first album that you've produced by yourself, although you did this beautiful Smashing Pumpkins cover album during the pandemic, which I believe you did at home, which feels like that was pretty much self-produced. But you have such a very long career, and you've worked with so many wonderful musicians and producers. I imagine you've learned a lot on the way. And what was it like to produce this one on your own? I mean, how did that look for you in the studio?
Yeah, I've done other things as a producer, but this was the first kind of real, that Smashing Pumpkins thing was all me, but it just felt like such a lark. And then people actually really liked it too, which was cool. So that was sort of a proof of concept where I was like, I think I can do this like with a bigger budget, and I don't know. I've worked with a lot of great producers, so it was like every minute was like, what would Tom Monahan do here? What would Josh Kaufman do here? What would Brian Deck do here? I've sort of like, I've learned over the years. I've had a PhD level education from these brilliant people. So yeah.
So you were collaborating with them in your mind.
Exactly.
Well, going back to the Pumpkins cover album, I mean, what inspired you to release a full cover of Siamese Dream? How do you feel connected to that record? I know it was a really important one for me.
Yeah, I was tasked to do a full album cover by Turntable Kitchen, who are actually here in Seattle, and they do these full album. I think Ben Gibbard did like a Teenage Fan Club record. Yeah. I think Jonathan Rado did maybe a Bruce Springsteen record. I can't remember. But anyways, I got tasked with it, and then I was like, that was like the first thought. That was like first thought, best thought. And then I totally changed my mind, and I was like, I don't want to do that one. And they were like, you have to do that one. And it was like way harder than I thought. As soon as I started, I was like, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. But it was, yeah. And then I was very shocked by I thought just it would be like a merch table curio, and we would sell 2 copies of it and lug around boxes of it. But people seem to like it.
I love it. And I know you're also a fan of the Grateful Dead, and especially the songwriting of Robert Hunter. And what is it about his songcraft that appeals to you so much? Because I think of you as an incredible songwriter as well.
I like his. There's a bunch of stuff that I mean, the Grateful Dead. There's a lot of baggage around the imagery of that band and the sort of culture of it. But like in the end, I sort of listen to his stuff. I'm like, he's a great pop songwriter, sort of underappreciated as a guy who can write. And obviously Garcia's writing the music part, but yeah, Hunter and Garcia as a team, they write great choruses too. It's like, it's still pop music. But also I like Hunter. He just writes a lot of stuff with a real sense of humor. But also his songs are all in a world. I describe it as you can walk from one song to the other. Like there's characters that are through lines, and I always have loved that idea of that there's kind of a cinematic multiverse within like a songwriter's pool of songs.
Well, as I said, I really love your songwriting, and you've been talking in interviews lately about how you feel you've just become a much stronger songwriter. Of course, that makes sense as you've got more experience and many, many years under your belt, but you've gone so far as to call your past self a lazy songwriter. And I have to say, as a massive, massive fan of your music, going back all the way to Echolocation and those songs and albums having a huge impact on my life and still stay with me today, I'm a little bit insulted on your behalf.
Well, thank you.
But what do you mean about that? What place in your life do those songs hold for you now?
Sometimes I hear those and I can hear I can just hear another verse that belonged there, But then at the same time, there's an immediacy to those. Like when you love somebody, I didn't even write a second verse. It's just the same verse twice. And I was like, I probably could have come up with a second verse for that one. But people love that song, and they don't seem to care. So yeah.
We do love it. It would be interesting to see how you might rewrite all those albums now or all those songs.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do like the U2 move or whatever of that's not going to happen.
Probably smart move. Well, it seems like this release has such a sense of home and groundedness, and I mean, especially that very moving last tune that you just played, We Used to Live Here, and you've had a pretty nomadic lifestyle. You've moved around quite a bit, not to mention all of the touring that you've done. Do you use music to ground yourself?
Yeah, and I think this record's kind of about that too. It's about and I enjoy kind of bopping around a little bit, but like that last song is sort of that, just that feeling I've had a million times in my life, which is just sort of like closing the door on an empty house or apartment or something like that, which is the most like wistful feeling you can have. But yeah, but I've lived in a couple of places for a long time now too. So, but yeah, music grounds me for sure.
Well, we like that part of your history has been here in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is home base still for me in a lot of ways.
I love that. Well, the new Fruit Bats album, A River Running to Your Heart, absolutely magnificent. Again, thank you to this gorgeous band for bringing these songs live here in the KEXP studio today. It's always such a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Same.
And thanks to all of our wonderful listeners who make wonderful sessions like this possible. You can learn more about us at KEXP.org. We're a listener-supported station, so make a gift when you can and support great live music like this one. You can discover so many bands on our YouTube channel. Subscribe and you'll get notification every time we launch a new video. And keep an eye out for great new music every single day here on KEXP. Thank you again so much. It's Fruit Bats live on KEXP Seattle.
Discover great music at KEXP.org.